just now a counter-protest. These are pro-Israel protesters or demonstrators showed up here. They're being followed by the Chicago BD, obviously, to provide security for them.
Public access. Public access.
Nigga, come catch up with your mama too, my nigga.
What we're doing today here in Chicago is, and we're right downtown where the Democratic National Convention is we're going to take a stand for Israel in a really powerful and silent way, is to hold a picture of Dietrich Bonhoeffer, the man who stood up in Germany against Hitler and stood up for the Jewish people. And it's what I feel like is happening again today. Waves of anti-Semitism on college campuses and here in Chicago and everywhere is rearing its ugly head again. And now it's time for Christians like Bonhoeffer to stand up for the Jewish people. Let's walk a little slow. This is Dietrich Bonhoeffer. Dietrich Bonhoeffer. He opposed Hitler. Keep going. My wife's in the crowd. I don't want to hurt her. Okay. Can you stand with her? Go this way.
I'm Israel. Hi. I'm Israel. Hi. I'm Israel. I'm Israel.
We did that one loop. I think the last part of that loop, we were getting pressed in on by the anti-Israel protesters. I was starting to feel nervous for our group. Fortunately, the police and others protected us. We were able to get over here to an isolated corner, and they are blocking the anti-Israel protesters from this area, so we feel safer here. The good thing is that our message is getting out. A lot of press have been coming up from the U.S. and international press, different media organizations. Many of them are large, and we're able to share our story of what's happening here. Again, it was feeling a little bit on edge, but now I'm feeling much better about the situation, which is really good because my wife came with me today, Karen, so I'm thankful that she's okay. All right, Justin, what were your reflections of the rally, the counter-protest standing for Israel?
Yeah, it was, in many respects, it was very overwhelming given the number of pro-Palestinian, pro-Hamas protesters that were out there today. But I was so greatly encouraged just to see the reaction from people who were driving by, to see our group standing with Israel, standing for the release of the hostages, and encouraging us. And then the media that came and wanted to hear why were we there. And so I think, although there were not many of us, I mean, there were maybe 20, 30 of us, I think our voice was greatly amplified today. And I think that when truth is spoken, people connect with it. They resonate with it. And I think there's going to be a lot of people who are impacted by just seeing our presence here today.
It seemed like we had about 20 different news organizations. Some were the large national, other countries were here, but also the real popular like Twitter, YouTubers, like just people with a cell phone, but they've got followings of millions, were also interviewing us today. So that was one observation. Number two, you said pro-Palestinian, but also pro-Hamas. And I believe you're right, but why do you link that pro-Palestinian with pro-Hamas?
Well, I think it's important, one, to understand that there certainly is a difference between Hamas and the Palestinian people. But at the same time, there's many Palestinians who support what Hamas did on October 7th. And so I think it's important that people are aware of that. And I think it's important for people to know, too, that a lot of these protesters, they think that they're here supporting the Palestinians. They think that they're here fighting for justice, fighting against the oppression of the Palestinian people. But frankly, they're confused. They don't have all the facts, or they simply don't want to look at the facts. And the fact of the matter is that the Palestinians are being oppressed by Hamas. They're being oppressed by radical jihadist ideology.
Thank you, Justin. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. Good to be here with you.
Susanna and Isaac, it's been really awesome being out here with you guys today. Give me your reflections on what just happened.
Well, I mean, it was really, really incredible to be one of the, 40 or 50 people walking past hundreds, maybe thousands, and it really felt like a clash of ideologies and a fight for just really the soul of the nation. You know, you had the American and Israel flags, and then you had the Palestine flags, which, of course, everybody there, most people there think that they're fighting for human rights, against genocide, but it really comes down to the ideologies and the spirit behind these movements. So the aggression that we experienced, the hate, the foul language that was hurled at us, there's just such a contrast between what we're representing, what we're standing for, and then what the opposition was. So I think that was I got emotional at one point, just seeing the flags, because it's these symbols that carry so much weight. So I was just really grateful to be a part of it and really feel on the right side of history.
Were you nervous? Did you feel nervous for your safety a little bit?
Before, when we were walking, it was really amazing to have the police just surrounding us. That felt like, just a blanket of protection, but I get kind of excited when it gets intense. So thankfully we were safe. Yeah.
What were your reflections of the day?
Yeah, I think Susanna summed it up well. I think there was a large contrast in the spirits that our group had versus what we encountered. I think it's one thing to have two sides clash on any issue. You could pick any political issue or political party. But I think it's telling when you see one side confronted with another and you get such anger and aggression. Not disagreement, not dispute or wanting to have debate, but visibly, sense of hatred that we were there and trying to walk. And I think our group did a really great job of proceeding peacefully and kind of standing against that, not engaging in the taunts. And then once we proceeded through, I think it was amazing to see the press want to come and talk and highlight all of that. And I think probably it bothered the other group a lot to see the attention shifted. But I think the other side on this particular issue, the pro-Palestinian or really pro-Hamas side we've seen, has got very used to taking up all the oxygen in the national press, in the media, because their side is so quick to use violence and threats and storm things and break things. That tends to get people's attention, and then they can mistake that attention they get for outsized influence, which only exists if institutional powers like the DNC or other groups allow them to continue that behavior. So I think seeing the contrast of how we operate and then being reminded that we have our First Amendment rights to express our opinions, and that we can also do it in a full of grace and peaceful way, I think that bothered them more than if they were to be engaged in kind. But I think the vast swath of America, even people across political divides, will identify more with, I think, how our side proceeds and operates. Basically, you can imagine having a debate with your neighbor over this issue, but in the end, you don't throw eggs at your neighbor's house or threaten them or attack them. You have disagreements, and then you vote how you want to vote, and then you proceed with that, and that's what our side stands for. Yeah. And I think that's what the country needs to see more of, particularly if events get out of hand this week in Chicago.
Explain a little bit more about Generation Zion and the Philos organization.
So Generation Zion is a nonprofit that's created to bring together a coalition of Christians that are informed and understand the issue of Zionism, of the ties between the Judeo-Christian faiths, and will stand alongside our Jewish brothers and sisters to combat anti-Semitism, to stand up for Israel, and to really highlight how increasingly it's becoming a battle of, I think, the Prime Minister of Israel said it well in a speech recently in D.C. He said it's not a clash of civilizations, it's a clash between barbarism and civilization. And I think increasingly those coalitions will come together of people that are pro-civilization, that are against violence as a tactic of either drawing political borders differently in Israel or of trying to persuade your fellow people, like we've seen at protests in D.C. and other places where violence is used by the Palestinian side. So Gen Zion will be a group of people raised up that will stand peacefully like we did today and be able to highlight this issue. And today we're using Dietrich Bonhoeffer as an example of a very pivotal figure in Christian history who had every excuse, given the society and the place he was in, to have retreated from the conflicts. He was an Orthodox Christian, Protestant, and saw the attempt of the Nazi Party to co-opt the Christian church and also just German society in general towards anti-Semitism and towards fascism. And he stood up against that, and rather than just retreating to become a professor in the US, he had a teaching job in New York. He could have fled to many different places. He felt called to go back. He was actually on one of the last ships to sail back to Germany before the war started and the blockade happened. And ultimately he chose his fate there to die standing up for Christian values and for standing up for the Jewish people. So he was involved in public efforts to create something called the Confessing Church that took a stand criticizing Hitler's corruption of the church, and then eventually he worked with intelligence officers and military officials who were against Hitler to try to ultimately take him down, and he was discovered and executed for that plot. But I think his example, giving the ultimate sacrifice, that in that case should inspire a lot of Christians across the globe. So we think Gen Zion will be able to do that.
Yep. Proud to stand with you in the name of someone like Dietrich Bonhoeffer. God bless you guys.
Thank you.
Anna, we've been together now in 2 different cities confronting protesters. What are your reflections of the day? I felt really good about it, but I think we accomplished a lot today.
Yeah, because I don't think they're just protesters. I think they are somehow embodying ungodliness. It's not just about protesting anything. It's about them being vessels for not good stuff. And the reason it's important for us to be here is because we are the vessels for God. We are here representing God's children, the Jews and the Christians. And we're here together to say, no, we've had enough of this. And it's so important. We did this in D.C., and we saw what we saw. And we did this here, and we saw what we saw. And it's important to be Jews and Christians without trembling knees. We were strong in our faith, and we pushed through because, not for us, not doing any of this. Listen, we got better things to do. But we're doing this for our people. We're doing this for the Jews and the Christians in the world to say, listen, you can stand up too. You can be strong. You can have faith in God, and you can rebuke this, and you can reject this.
You're a mother of 3, and you're fighting for your children. You're fighting for your family. You're fighting for your people, and really our country in America, but we're fighting for Israel. So how does that make you feel to be doing all of that today?
Yeah, I'm grateful. I feel like I am here because I have the opportunity to fight for everybody. I am fighting for my children. Listen, I'm a Ukrainian Jewish refugee. I know what it's like to be persecuted, and I don't want that for my children. I don't want that for my husband. I don't want that for my family. I have 5 cousins who are proudly serving as IDF right now on the border. I have over 30 family members in Israel. Our home is in America now, but our other home is Israel, because we know that once a country's done with us, we have to have somewhere to go. And we are always going to fight for Israel. And we're going to fight for our right to stay here. But we're always, most importantly, going to fight for good and for God.
We want to one day sit down with you and hear your story, because I think you have an amazing story, your history, your family. Let's do that one day, so everyone be watching for Anna's story here in InGrace. But it's been a privilege to stand with you shoulder to shoulder today.
Likewise. I'm grateful for you. It's October 7th really broke us, but it didn't just break me. It broke Jews all over the world. And we were broken not just by what happened on October 7th, but the world's reaction. And we were heartbroken and scared that the friends that we thought were friends were waving Palestinian flags, celebrating the death and the massacre of babies. And we were broken by that. We didn't understand it, and we were looking for our friends, and our friends were here. We were here all along, and knowing that we have friends who love us and support us and who are on the same mission for God with us, that's everything. We're not alone, guys. Jews, you are not alone. We have friends. And Christians, you are not alone. We have each other, and we'll always have each other.
God bless you, Anna. Well, we're back safely to our vehicles. Again, the police were wonderful. We were able to express our freedom of speech, to stand with Israel, to fight against the lies that are being told right over there at the rally. I hope the leaders of our country don't listen to the lies about Israel, and I hope that we've done whatever we can to stand up for Israel and the Jewish people, just like Dietrich Bonhoeffer did. We are thankful for all of you that are watching our InGrace content. We appreciate you. The reason we do what we do is because my Savior is Jewish. My Savior is Jesus, Yeshua. He came and died for my sins and rose again. He's changed my life and my eternity, and I hope that you have investigated his claims in the Gospels, in the Bible. We also want you to make sure that you check out the rest of our YouTube channel programming. We've got a lot on Israel, we've got a lot on creation science and all sorts of stuff. So I want you to be watching our InGrace YouTube channel. Also, go to our InGrace website, ingrace.us. We've got a lot of merchandise, resources, books, and we want to make sure you're equipped to stand with truth and stand with righteousness. May God bless you.